Hey everyone, welcome back to the garden. We got a lot of requests for our garden tour to be done again this year, so welcome back. We've had some changes since our last video last year. So that was my first year gardening. This is my second year, and I can promise you I have had no idea what I'm doing. I'm actually shocked the garden keeps turning out really nice. I'm gonna just credit that to the amount of sun that we get here. We'll get into kind of what we did differently and the changes we made from last year. So first things first, we did some pea gravel down on the ground. We removed all of the grass. Drew and our good friend Rock did that, and that was a big project. So they had to dig up all the grass, and then we put cloth down. We wanted to put plastic to thoroughly make sure that there was no weeds, but we wanted to have proper drainage. I think it's beautiful. I really wanted this when we first did our garden, just because the grass is difficult with the boxes, and it just ends up putting the grass into the boxes and creating weeds. So this was a great addition, and it's just beautiful. I can't be barefoot out here much because the rocks aren't that smooth, but it's great. I love it so much. Another thing was last year, watering our garden was truly a part-time job. I know Drew can agree with me on this. It was a lot of work for us. It made a very low maintenance garden become very high maintenance. And it actually, by watering by hand, it ended up burning some stuff because you're not directly watering at the root. We decided to look into irrigation, and we thought that that was going to be really expensive and a lot of work. And so we ended up doing research, and Drew, you spent like what, $200?
Yeah, around that.
On parts, which is not bad at all. And then Drew actually did all the irrigation himself. And it has made a huge difference in our garden because we have the slow drip irrigation all the way at the bottom. I feel like the garden looks more green and more beautiful this year than it did last year because we had a lot of browning and we had some plants burn. And so I think it looks actually great. My zucchini was not in our video last year, and it looks great. So here's the zucchini here. We have companion planting all around. So the zucchini, I did tomatoes and basil in there, and the tomatoes are looking beautiful. So I'm really trying to train these tomatoes to go up the best that I can. Last year I just did clips on this, and a storm came right after we filmed the garden video and tore everything down. So I was like, oh, I'm so glad I filmed that when it was standing. So this time I just did this green twine, and this has held everything up really strong because we've had some pretty strong storms come through. And so everything is doing great. I just have to take my time with training that up the trellis, but it looks beautiful. And then in this box behind me, we have strawberries. Those are new this year. We did not have strawberries last year. I'm not really sure how we're gonna keep this, if we will, but we did get some pretty great strawberries. Then we have some calendula over here. I just read that that was a companion plant, and they're also really beautiful. I love calendula. I actually use it in a lot of salves. It's great for your skin. And then you cannot see it, but I'm very excited about this. This is gonna be, I feel like this is like my Dennis the Menace plant. You know, the plant in the movie where he's like so excited for it to bloom. This is my Dennis the Menace plant. It is a Peggy Martin, and I bought it. You can't see it, but I'm hoping that in like a year or two, you can look it up. Peggy Martin, it's just this climbing, beautiful, stunning rose vine. So I'm hopeful that that's gonna look beautiful. I got my mom one as well. Hers looks way better than mine. And then in this box over here, we have lots of parsley. This is looking great. And basil over here. I'm actually shocked right now that Hudson is not in here. Before we started filming, he was constantly stealing tomatoes. Like, it's just something about us filming that he is just like, let me just go nuts and start doing all the things that I shouldn't. He's back by the blueberries. We have blueberry bushes. We didn't show you guys those. He is all over those too. The blueberries, I think they were actually the worst because he eats blueberries every day in his food. So he just is like over there all the time. And Hudson was stealing a lot of my bell peppers. Honestly, I didn't even care. I wasn't thrilled about how the bell peppers were coming out. Like last year in my video, I shared I was doing those like little bell peppers, and I think I'm gonna go back to those. I didn't really like the bell peppers. My cucumber plant has seen better days. So I have not had that many that I've been able to harvest. And I feel like all the damage that's been done by him and the bunnies, mine is now on its way out. We had some bunny issues. They chewed through some irrigation and some plants. So what we did is we actually put some forks down in here, and we read that that was something online that you could do. You just stick, you know, the plastic forks up, and when the bunnies jump in, they don't like that. We're not trying to stab them. So when they jump in, they don't like that, so they jump out. And it worked. This is a beautiful invasive cucumber plant that I accidentally planted. I thought that it was a good cucumber. I bought it at Whole Foods. That's actually one thing that I forgot to mention. A lot of these plants, so the majority of them, all the warm weather stuff, I bought as plants. The beets and carrots, my flowers, and the snap peas that I had in the spring, those were all from seed. So anything that is cold weather, I find is really easy to plant from seed, but I do not do the warm weather stuff. So all of that is matured plants that I buy, and then I plant everything. So not all of this was from seed. But this thing is an invasive plant that is not bearing fruit. We are now understanding the verse in the Bible where it says, if you don't bear fruit, you're just gonna get cut down. And I'm like, this is useless, but it looks beautiful. So it's a beautiful, useless plant that I'm gonna just keep tamed for now. And we had some beets in here, but they were kind of yelling at me when the heat wave happened. They looked pretty bad, but we pulled those, and in literally the brutal heat, it was so hot that day, and I reseeded. I guess some of them didn't sprout, so it looks very unprofessional, but they will come up. I have carrots here, I gotta pull those. Those were from seed. Then we have my favorite box of all is the flower one. And last year I did zinnias. This year I was like, let's try something new. And so I did zinnias and cosmos. And both of those are very, you know, abundant, and they last the same. So I mentioned how the zinnias bring in butterflies, so many hummingbirds. They last until really the first frost of fall, which is amazing, and so do the cosmos. So I did, these are dahlia zinnias, and then we have regular zinnias, and then cosmos. So I'm not sure if I'll mix them again, but I did just want to mention that we don't use sprays or chemicals on our property or in our garden, but I have had to use neem oil because when I filmed my video last year with the zinnias, they actually got a mildew and they didn't look very good for the rest of the season, which was really sad. So to prevent that, I've been spraying them with neem oil, and they look good so far. Seriously, the garden is just, it is just so wonderful to have this. Like every day I come outside and I'm doing my devotions on the deck and I just stare out at this, and it is like the highlight of really our home. I forgot to mention this at the beginning of the video. This past winter was so brutal, and all I did was just stare at that window and look at my boxes covered in snow. It was frozen, and I was like, I just want to be out here. So we are enjoying this as much as possible because we absolutely love it, and it just brings us so much joy. So I thought I would pick some eggplant with you guys, and actually I'm gonna pick a zucchini over here that I saw. But everything's just been so abundant. I've had so many zucchini, more than I want. The zucchini just doesn't stop, and I've been grilling it and grilling it and grilling it. That's been the easiest thing for me, because I feel like zucchini is one of those vegetables that you have to do a lot to use it. And I just find grilling it is like the easiest thing that I can do. We also have a lot of marigolds. I mentioned that in my last video. I have plenty of marigolds this year, and they're doing great. But we have a very nice, I'll let Drew come in here, a very nice eggplant here. So that is beautiful. We're gonna cut that right off. These things here are gnarly. I don't know what the purpose of those are, but they hurt if you touch them. My eggplant actually looks so much better than last year. Last year I had so many, and a lot of them went to waste, and I don't know why. They turned a certain type of color and got really heavy and dense. I have so many this year that look really good, and I'm going to be making lots of eggplant parm with this. So last year, what I did was I made my eggplant parm, and the recipe is on YouTube, on our website. And what I did was I made the recipe all the way up to baking or frying the eggplant. And then I took those pieces of eggplant and I just put them in freezer bags and froze them. So, I mean, honestly, they lasted all year. And then I would just layer them into the eggplant parm with the mozzarella, the sauce, and just bake it. And it was so easy to have all that frozen from the garden. So I'm not like a big preserver and pickler and canner, but that was my one way of preserving my summer eggplant. So this is the mint from last year. I told you it was invasive. It's back. I didn't invite it to come back, but it just came back. So, but we've been actually putting this in our seltzer. So we get like spring seltzer bottles, and we went to a restaurant and they had mint leaves in their seltzer and it tasted so good. So we just take a bunch of the leaves and just shove it in the seltzer bottles, and it tastes so good. So if you have some mint in your garden that you don't know what to do with, it's a great way to use it. But that is pretty much the garden. It's been really wonderful to do this every year, and my hope is that I can create a garden around the garden. That would be really nice, just to continue to grow it. When Drew and I bought this property, we literally started from scratch. We tore down everything in the yard. Literally, Drew and I. We had a machine and we just did it ourselves, and we started from scratch. And it's really wonderful to see not just this garden, but all of our gardens grow each and every year. And this year, I mean, everything just looks so beautiful. All my hydrangeas and the laurel bushes and the butterfly bushes. We have so many butterflies. I have, I think, 3 butterfly bushes, and then like all of this stuff just brings them in. So it's great. And then we have our blueberry bushes, but my hope is to have more of a berry patch back there. When I was younger in my mom's garden, I had Bethany's berry patch. So it was a little sign that said that. And so I had to manage the berry patch. But it's funny, just because I said this in my last video, I hated gardening. And this garden is just very different. I find that the raised beds are really low maintenance. And with having the irrigation, Drew and I just turn a timer on, and it's just really easy. We don't have to do much. I'm not weeding, because with all this companion planting and close planting like I do, it doesn't really leave much room for weeds to grow. So it is really nice. Drew, do you want to talk about the irrigation?
Yeah, sure. Let's do it. All right, guys. So I'm Drew. It's been super fun to work together on the garden this past year, and I'm going to show you a little bit of the irrigation setup. It's been working really well because basically you just turn a timer on and that waters everything at the root, which is much better than overwatering, like Bethany said. So I'm just going to show you a couple things, how I set this all up and how we kind of keep it hidden in a way so it's not super visible. So you can walk with me over here. All right, so each bed gets its own irrigation branch, which runs off of a main hose under the ground, and that goes over to our house. What I did was I actually dug underneath of the bed and ran the main irrigation line up right underneath. So you can see here, these are the drip lines, and when you turn on the water basically drips out of these areas. And so I have 4 drip lines, and then this is the main unit, which handles most of the water coming in, and I just connected the drip lines to that. And then this just runs right into the ground and then connects to the main line. So really it was just out measuring everything, getting all the materials, and honestly, for me as like more of a technical person, this was actually a really fun project to collaborate with Bethany on. So I appreciate her trusting me on that.
Well, that is everything. That is our second garden tour and our second year gardening. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. I appreciate that you guys enjoyed the video last year, and also our recent Q&A. There was a lot of people requesting another garden tour on that video. We're gonna get back to gardening. Huddy's gonna get back to his usual thievery in here. And I hope you guys enjoyed this, and thank you so much, and I'll see you guys in the next video.